What's up? Hello. Doing the videos on store champs because store champs starts this weekend. So I'm really sorry that I've done this like actually quite late. If you were hoping to attend a store champs tomorrow and you're hoping to watch this video, but I can go over a few things. It's mainly because I was just haven't really been able to test as much as I wanted to, and testing kind of got fit in at the last minute, and I kind of feel happy where I'm at with the lists. It was also you have to go to all the environments to check what everyone's playing and what information, say, like a green steel player is getting about their list, and what the RP players are getting about their lists and stuff like that. So I do spend quite a lot of time trying to research on what is expected from players in local environments who might be net decking and just what players are enjoying in general, because I like to check all the different spaces we have online. So yeah, of course, we're going to having a blue steel list. It's just very comfortable choice. We've gone for Tipo over Mickey. I did try the 3 Mickey, 1 Tipo. I do like that. I could go back to that, but I just kind of really valued having lots of fire the cannons in the list. So actually, the only thing left in this list that could possibly be changed is Baboom for another fire the cannons, which I can definitely spare the uninked space because I also want to keep it low on uninkables. I'm kind of getting a little bit fed up with losing games just for the fact that I'm bricking. I had quite a few of them in Birmingham, and I feel if I'm at around 14, 15 uninkables, I'm not particularly upset if I lose in a brick because I could tell myself that that could happen on any list. Besides maybe RP where they play like 12 uninkables. But yeah, as long as it's a low number and I brick on that, I'm so that's all fine. That's just expected. But Tipo can do things like if you do have a bricked hand, he can turn some of that into ink. I'm finding him very good. This will be a strangest statement, and I'm sure a lot of players will disagree with it, and that's fine. Is Tipo into green steel is feeling quite valuable. Not just green steel, also yellow green as well. Mainly because you would opt for a Mickey because Mickey will reserve your hand size. He will give you the ramp, but he will reserve your hand size. And I don't particularly find the ramp that important in those matchups. You just want to sort of play a steady, strong mid-range game. But what Tipper can also do is hide things that Ursula or a Bare Necessities could grab. So in a sense, you can just you're going to go right. My hand's probably going to thin anyway, so I'll just hide that and give you no chance at doing it. Of course, if you have two songs, it's not great. So let's be honest, over a long span of games versus someone who's going to Ursula on two, Tipo probably won't come out as valuable as I'm saying here, but he has some perks there as well. Also, he'll get you ramp on two into Hiram if you want to do that line. Into some matchups, that's just great, and it just gets you a really strong board if you go Porp, Tipo, Hiram. And then other cards as well. We've got 3 Argus. I was playing around with the hooks, playing a lower count of Argus and playing some more hooks in there. But overall, it just feels like I want to consistently go one turn, play Pop School or Fortisphere on turn one, fire the cannons if I'm on the draw, and then go to Argus or Smee on two, and then keep going from there. I mean, of course, I mentioned about the tipper as well, but I just want this consistent line of I know what I'm mulliganing for. When you get a hook, it's always like, do I keep it? Do I not? It can be valuable, it cannot be. And I felt overall just having a fire the cannons and going if I'm on the draw, I'll keep this possibly has just felt a better game plan than relying on a hook that could just be useless and dealt with, and then it's just such massive negative tempo to you. So yeah, just making sure we get the Argus in. We've gone for Argus over any other 2-drop because RP is still really strong, and I think in store champs RP shines the most. It's just a consistent list. It's very good in a casual environment as well as a competitive environment. So it's just a strong pick. Most people who are going to be playing at store champs levels might play a deck like that because it's just, Finn Sisu, then just draw cards with your rabbits and your friends and stuff like that. So it's a deck that we always see around, and in Europe it's always been fairly popular. We didn't see that transfer that well in Birmingham. But overall, yeah, it's just I think RP's there, and I think it's a matchup that Blue Steel can very confidently 2-0 if your list is prepared for it. Just to mention as well quickly, we have got Rise of Titans in there again. It was just feeling like this might have come from like a last minute effort, but I didn't feel very confident not having any answer for a location or even possibly at a stretch using Titans for a item. I just didn't feel comfortable. I couldn't do that. That there was no chance in my deck to find something for that. So I felt much more comfortable when I play it. And there was a lot of times where trying to set up attackers for the library has felt kind of rough because the play I was trying to do in testing was set up an Argus, then set up a Tinkerbell, and then run in and deal the library, and they've got a turn or two of value out of it. But they were playing like an Elsa on 2 to hit the Argus and kill it out. Elsa on 5. They 2/5 evasive to take it out. And then I was like, oh, my mass is down. I've literally lost 4 damage for attacking power here. And then of course you try Chi and Po, and that sort of works, but then you need to up the Chi and Po counts, which could also be done as well. And then on top of that, I was just getting double library. So once I dealt with one and put all that investment into it, they'd play another one to the point where I think on the play you can almost ignore it because it's too much of an investment to try and deal with it unless you just find a rise and take it out. But on the draw, you're already behind and they're just racing ahead of Law. I feel like you kind of have to try and win the board back a bit. So yeah, we just went for 2 Rise of Titans. I just felt more comfortable in it. It felt like it was nice that I could take out a location. Um, so yeah, that's mainly a comfort pick. That's probably one I won't see. You won't see in many other lists, I think. Just it's just really is like it's there because I just need it. I think. I just feel comfortable playing with it. So yeah, we're gonna keep some location hate in the deck. We were at 4 Pete and we've gone down to 3. I think 3 is fine. You kind of it needs to be combo with the aerial. I think 4 maybe could be good, but it's just a room sort of situation. Because an aerial peak can just lock people out of the game and you just win the game. So 3 has felt fine. Yeah, a lot of times against a lot of decks you were just looking against red decks, sorry, you were looking to find aerial and Pete and playing it, and then hopefully having a dime to be able to dime tap aerial the next turn and quest with her to gain 10 law sort of out of nowhere and force them to react very soon afterwards. So definitely Ariel at 3 and Pete is being at 3. I could see myself going to 4. I mean, like I say, I was just making room for those Rise of Titans that I felt more comfortable playing with. But they can easily go out and you could buff the Pete numbers and buff something else as well. Rest of the you could buff the Chi and Po numbers as well. That's what I was going to mention. Sorry. So Chi and Po is just very valuable, and especially against RP right now, where the Elsa on 5, which exerts something, and I've even have it when they can exert things like a Tinkerbell or just anything really, and just take it out and just really leverage your board quite a bit. And it's just kind of rough to the point where I was trying to get Cogsworth set up just so it couldn't get turned and hit for damage. So Chi and Po is just like your challenge damage doesn't do as much, and Chi and Po just is very powerful into any deck that is about challenging, which is RP is its whole jam is kind of it likes to do challenge damage, and then it uses the red ladies to remove. So and then I think you're gonna find a lot of things in store champs like Blurple is going to be there. Facet always seems to be around. Green Purple is going to be really important. So just Chi and Po is very strong, I think, right now, especially for Blue Steel. And he's going to protect your aerial, and he just fits your game plan as well, which is a card that, I mean, he's kept into my list as a 2 count, but just the more you play of him, the more valuable you find that 4/7 with Bodyguard, especially when you can do things like Pete and set up your singers, set up aerial and stuff like that, so you can be like, I've got this really strong board. Your action removal isn't going to work. I'm going to lock in some lore. If you can get very close to the end when you've got a big card, like big hand of cards, you can be like, and I play all these things out, and I'm going to lock in 10 lore next turn. You can't do anything, and it's just awesome that you can force these checkmate games with this now. Whereas before, Blue Steel to me has always felt like I'll ramp up, play dime. I'll play something out, and it'll be like, if you don't have a response, then it's a checkmate. Blue Steel now with Pete, I find, can just generally force checkmates where it's like, I don't think you have an answer in your deck. If I have a Cogsworth, Chi and Po, and Aerial set up, and then I Pete on top of that, it's like, so you've got to do challenge damage into resist. So you've got to do 8 challenge damage to start with. You can't use any of your actions. So yeah, it's been a really great addition to the deck. So I find that's kind of a major game plan for the deck. Tamatoa at 2, I generally have got a lot of hate for Tamatoa, and I don't know why. I tried to cut it, but I think you need 6 dime targets. It's pretty nice, and he's generally that feeling. He's got quite the meme. It's like him and set 1 Maleficent and set 1 Tamatoa. It's like they are the 2 most inked cards in the game, because you always get them early on and you ink them, and it's like, okay, it's fine. That's a really justifiable inked card. And it's just sort of out of a week's playing, I think I got onto the board once or twice, and it was just generally because I had nothing else to play in hand. But if it would have been an aerial in hand, I would have played that instead. So yeah, I've just kind of kept him as 2. He's just justifiable ink as well as a dime target and a late game, so he's just fine. But yeah, definitely, if I could run 6 aerials, and they were inkable, I'd go mad with that. But of course, we've got the cards we've got, so it's fine. Yeah, and I'm noticing it's going to be a 3-2 split for a lot of lists. A lot of people are going for that. 4 aerials yeah, as much as I just made that joke about wanting to run 6 aerials, 4 as an uninkable can be clunky. And then it's like sometimes when I've run it at 4, it's like I'll just play her out as my Holy World Singer, but I don't really want to. But it's just like my other option is do nothing. So yeah, keeping it 3 seems kind of fairly fine. And as I mentioned about the early removal, because green's still so popular now, we do want a really good green Diablo check to the point where if they this is an option I usually tend to do it. If they play the Diablo on 1, um, and I have a fire the cannons, I will remove it, and that's just because it denies the shift line move to a cove, which basically is a position of power where I'm just going to be so behind drastically. The tempo is going to be so massively swung that I'd rather just remove it. Then they play the Diablo on 3, possibly have ramps to grab your swords, or I'm just at that point I've got some hero work in, or maybe I'm just not that bothered if they play it on 3, let it dry, remove it, or maybe I've got another answer for it, another baboon or fire the cannons. So yeah, I'd probably after this video might look at just putting that, because I'm playing another locals tonight, putting that fire cannons to the 3 count rather than a 2 count. It was just basically being around moving ratios around. But yeah, those I think you need to have at least 3 minimum removal options for cheap stuff. Of course, that also splashes over to if you miss a 2-drop for Flynn, you can answer it. Steel Song's still going to be around, so you can check a lot of their characters and a lot of their shift lines, because a Robin Hood shift's just going to break you. So yeah, 3 minimum, 4 if you want to. I mean, yeah, again, I've got Rise of Titans as that flex spot. You could take that out and put another Fire the Cannons in there. That, like, again, Res Titans is generally just my little comfort pick there. So yeah, definitely 3 minimum, 4 is a good one as well. 3 Let It Goes is actually feel really nice. I always thought it was going to feel clunky, but what it makes me feel like is we can just do our game plan of get Chi and Po, Cogsworth, Aerial, Pete's, and just like, oh, you've played something that's really threatening. Like, say they shifted a big Cindy or they got a Clarabelle out or something. I'm like, right, I don't want to deal with that. Let it go, and then I'm just going to continue with my game plan. So 3 has felt fine. Of course, most were running 1 Zeus, 2 of these, but at this point, Zeus isn't covering enough of the things I want to deal with for me to even justify running it. It's not killing a Robin Hood. It's not killing a Big Cindy. It's not killing a Clarabelle. It will just kill a Tragic Beast. And at this point, you can just check it with a Tinkerbell or just shoot it with a Fire the Cannons or something like that, and then just continue on from there. As long as it doesn't get the card draw, you can deal with it in a challenge at some point. So Zeus has kind of fell out of most lists. It's been kind of sad because the few games where you get a Zeus on a location, that's always felt nice. But yeah, overall, Zeus is just not cutting it, especially not in Blue Steel. It's just, I think, more of a Steel Songs choice because of their powerful singers. And then the rest of the list is absolutely fine. It's the same standard, keep the items and everything like that. I never got enough games in with Merlin's Cottage for me to personally say I want to play it. I've played quite a bit of Merlin's Cottage, but it's just I couldn't find the room. I wasn't finding it was coming up enough, so I just didn't opt for it. But I think it's still a really awesome card. I think it really does improve your Ruby Sapphire matchup. So again, if you take anything away from my list here, that Rise of Titans at 2 is a flex, and you can take those out and put whatever you want in there, or you can keep them if you want them, and you're really scared of locations like I am. So yeah, you could easily put Merlin's Cottage in there and buff your Ruby Sapphire matchup if you wanted to. But overall, yeah, that's just a standard blue steel. We Nothing really exciting there. I don't have much faith in Mufasa as well. I just want to say that. But I think again, you could put it in there. You could even take Tamatoa out, and if you're fine with the uninkable space, use Mufasa. He's definitely gonna. If you're playing against me, he's definitely gonna catch me out. If you could somehow get to 11 ink, and then play a Pete, then Mufasa, like I'm definitely going to be worried about that board state. But if not, I've got to let it go. And if I'm against a blue deck, I'm going to always make sure I've got to let it go hovering around in my hand. Or if not, I've got an option to draw to it. And that being said as well, another thing you can put in that flex spot is Visions. I think Visions is just insanely strong. And you can almost, it's like a pseudo whole new world. It lets you draw 5 and pick 1. But, it's just, that's also a really strong spot to be in. So definitely if you wanted to put more visions of the future, if you're feeling the list is getting a bit clunky and it's not moving as smoothly as it used to, or has done when we use things like Gaston to scry, definitely look at visions because that card's just a very busted and powerful card. But yeah, I'm going to start talking about this Blue Steel because I'm just going to keep blathering on about it if I do. Very standard, but yeah, that's what I'll be bringing to Store Champs. So anyone who's doing Store Champs in the UK and you see me, you've got a neck deck list for you. This is another thing as well, just to mention. I usually bring in store champ seasons. I bring an RP build, just with me. Like I play RP from time to time. Like I like how consistent it is. I find the mulligan. It doesn't matter the matchup. It's fairly common and fairly safe what you're going to go for and look for in your hand. So I usually have one built. And also as well, if you play a lot of high rolly decks, which or the blue steel combo-y high rolly decks like blue steel, you're going to have enough games where maybe you're just going to get upset. Like I had weekends where I just came away walking away with nothing from store champs and just bricked in terrible runs where the deck wasn't really running that smoothly. So I like to sometimes pick up RP and it just feels like the deck runs smoothly. Of course, the downside to that is RP never has any like spiked huge things. You're never going to dime tap a aerial on quest for 10 lore. You're just going to play a consistent and fairly fair game, I think. None of the cards are insanely overpowered, except for that new Elsa that's really, really good. But yeah, I don't have much to say on this one. Besides, I think Elsa is just really quite strong, talking to anyone as well. I wouldn't cut down on your accounts of Brawl. I still think Brawl is a required card. I'm in that weird stage as well where RP players where get to where they start cutting down and be prepared. I just cut one down. I think you still keep it because you're hoping to top deck one against green steel or yellow green. You're so having higher counts of that. But I don't know. In my mind, it was like there was a Sisu there. I can probably do that. But don't judge me on my RP deck building skills. I think this is still very standard and valid, and I just took from No Knots and added in a few cards in. But yeah, this is one that I'll just carry around in my bag, and like if I'm just not feeling Blue Steel on the day, or Blue Steel's been treating me quite poorly, just from the bad draws and the bad rolls, and just it's not performing well. I sometimes like to just lean on this deck, and get some games in with that. So yeah, these are the two I've still got sleeved up for store champs. But yeah, I hope there's some information in there that was useful.